Hello again, students. I wanted to take a little bit of time and go over the media bias exercise. If you notice in week one, which you'll see a couple things due by Sunday at the end of the day, that would be the discussion one, information literacy discussion. And that one's pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to spend any time going over that one. But I wanted to talk about the media bias exercise because this one can get a little bit complicated here. I am now in student view, so I may have some issues and have to jump around back and forth a little bit. But I'm going to try to stay here and just show you as much as possible so that what you see is really mimicking what I'm showing you on the screen versus me being in instructor mode, which is really different. So here's the media bias exercise, and you'll notice right away that the language for this is that it's a quiz. It's not a quiz. I use this feature to set up these type of assignments because I really like the quiz feature that's built within Canvas. So it's not a typical quiz or test or an exam. So just kind of get that out of your mind right away. It is an assignment. The media bias exercise assignment, we're going to just jump right into it, but I'll tell you the best thing to do here would be to open this up. So you can open this media bias fact check up, because this is what you will be doing. There are 6 questions, I believe, on this assignment. They're all based on this media bias fact check website. So I usually keep the 2 tabs open at once here. I keep this open, and then I keep the media bias fact check tab open, and so I just go back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and get in and take the quiz. And if it doesn't allow me, it looks like it's allowing me. And so here you'll notice here that this media bias fact check site, and what we're doing, again, part of the idea of understanding information is trying to get at information that is the most closely accurate, true, good information. Okay. So one of the things that we can do here is we can look at what's going on in the media. Okay, now I know we all have our views on, what media is good, what media is bad, and all that other stuff, but I want everyone to try to put all that aside for right now. And regardless of whether you have a tendency to lean more in terms of a political stance, because a lot of times when we talk about media, we're talking about political stance, whether you kind of tend to lean to the right or you lean to the left. I want you to kind of try to approach this, and I know this is very difficult, from simply a fact-finding exercise. Eliminate your biases if you can. And again, I know it's easier said than done. And I just want everyone to approach this exercise with an open mind, looking at the source, trying to figure out what the facts are, what isn't true, what's good information, what's bad information, what's misinformation, all that other stuff. So just approach this from that. Again, there are 6 questions. So right now, and again, they're all related to this media bias fact check site. So you go out here and you'll see, read about 5 sources from the left bias / left center bias list. Do you agree that these sites are biased leaning left? Why or why not? Include the sources in the answer below. So here you go. We're going to go back here. So the first one we have to look at is left bias, left center bias list. So you'll notice here on the website, and you'll get, this is an ad-free site, or an ad site, so you'll see a lot of ads pop up as you're going through this, and it's kind of a pain, but you just have to kind of deal with it for this exercise, if you will, please. So when you first come in, you'll get a big window pop up probably that'll ask you, hey, if you don't want to see the ads, here's a plan. Just X that out. The bias categories are here, so you'll see least biased, left bias, left center bias. So you'll notice that right away our first question, it was asking us to look at left bias / left center bias. So you can use these 2 areas right here. So I'm going to click on that, and then you'll notice that what comes up, there are a bunch of different sources, a bunch of different media sources that tend to lean left, that tend to be more liberal. So you're going to click through these sources, look through. Maybe you just look down the list and you think, well, you know what? This one sounds good, so let's look at this one right here, or so whatever you decide, and then you'll you can click on that one. again, you have to choose. There, a handful of them, and there are many, many, many to choose from here. So I'm just going to click on one randomly here and see. Now you'll notice that it'll give an overview of this site. Whether it tends to lean left, and it has this kind of this spectrum of extreme left or extreme right, and you'll see where this one falls. So it falls left according to this source, according to Media Bias Fact Check, and the people that work here and the research that they've done. They've deemed that this source, the Dallas Voice, does tend to lean left. Okay, so that gives you an overview, detailed report, the history of the media site, and kind of who is funded by, and all that kind of stuff. Whether it failed any fact checks in the last 5 years or whatever the time frame may be that they give you here. I think it's usually 5 years, and then you'll see some different. Some different links down below that kind of go a little bit more into detail. So the first part of this, what you're being asked to do, is to read about any of these media sources. Okay, so you pick 5 of them, and then do you agree that these sites are biased or leaning left? After you read through this stuff, the overview, the detailed report, all that stuff, do you believe that this site does indeed lean left? Maybe you think it's extreme left. Maybe you don't think it's left at all. Maybe you think it's kind of left-centered. But this is your take on it. So this is the site and what they're presenting to us. So you're looking at 5 of these again, and then you're just going to give. And then what you'll do is you can just tell me what it was. So you don't have to give me the direct link to it here. And I say include the sources in your answer. What you would do is just put the Dallas Voice here. Okay, so you picked the Dallas Voice, and then also just tell me whether you picked from the, whether you picked from left bias or left center bias, so I know where to go in and look when I go in and match these up to what you chose. So you could put Dallas Voice, left bias, okay, and then your analysis of it, and then you would put the next one. So again, you are not just saying, yes, I agree with the source, but you're going deeper in. Do you agree that these sites are biased, leaning left? And this is important. Why not? If you don't agree with what the Media Bias Fact Check is telling us about Dallas Voice, why don't you agree? If you agree, why do you agree? So maybe you dig into this a little bit. You say, oh, you know what? It's I really believe that the Dallas Voice is because based on this fact here. Maybe it's something that you pulled from here. Okay. So again, 5 of these sources, either from the bias category, left bias or left center bias, stating the media source and your analysis of it in here. So there will be 5 of them here. Okay, 5 of those different sources from the left center bias list. Now you can start typing here, and and then when you go back home, if you go back home, maybe you don't do all this at once. It'll ask you, you're about to navigate away from this page. You want to continue anyways. Click OK. Now that should, and I'm going to test this right now, because if it's not working, I'm going to make a recommendation to you. Because typically what you could do is start the quiz, then come back into it later and finish it. But that hasn't been working consistently. So here we go back now. We can see resume quiz. But it's really important that you click that OK button, or it won't save what you did. So now when I go back in here, you'll be able to see that what I typed in for question 1 is there. There it is. It's coming back up. Okay, so now you can pick up and edit this again. Okay, so maybe you do that, and then you come down here and you answer question 2. Okay, and then you're going to go, you know what, I need to take a break, or I have to study for my anatomy exam or something like that. So again, you're going to go, just click back home and then click OK, and that will save the work that you did. But it's really important that you don't just close out, that you click on back home and then you click the OK. Okay, so the alternative to that, instead of doing that, clicking back home and then OK, is you can type this up in like a Word document or a Google Doc or something like that, and then you just copy and paste it into there. That way you don't have to worry about whether or not it saves your work. Okay. So again, there are 6 questions here. Question 2, you're doing the same thing you did for question 1. Now you're reading about 5 sources from the right bias, right center bias list. And again, just to go back here, bias categories, you have right, center, and right. So you're going to go into these now instead of this. So you do left first and then right next. Okay, and you're doing the same thing. Question 3, read about 5 sources from the least biased list. And that is, again, another category, least biased. That's here. Okay, and you're doing the same thing again. Okay, it's 5 sources, same thing. So you're doing left, right, least biased. That's the first 3 questions. The 4th one, read the methodology information. Evaluate the methodology used. Good, bad, questionable. They moved this here, so I'm going to, there it is, methodology. Okay, so you're going to read, it's under transparency, methodology. And basically this is just reading through this, and then read through the objectives of this, you know, how they come up with what they determine and all that other stuff. So this is them telling us, hey, this is the methodology we use to determine whether a media source is left, right, least, whatever. Okay, so read through this methodology section and then answer the question, is it good, bad, questionable? Do you agree with the methodology that they use? Maybe you see something that they should have included in the methodology that they didn't. Maybe you think that everything is really good and you're going to state that. Maybe you disagree with everything about what they do, but it's not good enough just to say, I disagree or I agree. But you have to provide some analysis, some detail as to why. Okay, so that's 4, methodology. And then you're going to read several news articles from the least biased news and list the URLs here. And then you can do the same thing for question 6 is, overall, do you feel the site is credible? So again, you're making an analysis. Question 5 is related to the news section of the site. So what you're going to do, and I'll take you out and show you in a second, but you're going to list the URLs here, and then whether you agree that the articles were or were not biased, and my language here is not correct, and I'll fix that. So I'm going to go back out here to the media bias fact check, and then what you're doing here is you go to this news section, and then you can click right here on this link, this facts and truth. Then you'll see down here that there are some different articles that they have deemed whether they are lies, that they're false, all that other stuff. So just pick a couple, pick a few from here. So here's one, the article linked here. This is related to the Mar-a-Lago search that was done last week, and here's the article on it, and it tells you what this site says, whether it's false or whether it's true. But read down through it, and basically what you're doing here is you're going to give then your opinion. So you're going to grab the URL, so you can just grab it here and just, you can just copy and paste the URL in here, and then you're going to say right underneath it whether you believe, I disagree with the findings of this source site analysis, and then why. Okay. So again, it's not just enough to state yes, I agree, or no, I disagree, but to state why. Now, you don't have to write a book for these, but a couple sentences for each one will suffice. Okay. Again, so you're going to make sure that you put the URLs in there as well. That'll allow me to go right out and take a look at the site as well. Okay. So you're going to read 3 of those articles from there. There are there are other articles on there as well. So the thing about this is you have to click back to get to it. But you can scroll down and you can see that there are other articles as well. My recommendation would be to pick from this list here, pick 3 out of this list. But again, you don't have to. This does change every couple of days as well. So this, depending on when you do it, is what's going to show up here, because these are constantly changing. So pick 3 of the articles from here. If you find other articles that you look at, scrolling through this page or doing some research on this site, then that's fine as well. But the intent of this is to get you to look directly at those news articles themselves, not the site, the sources, but the article, and whether you agree with the analysis of that the article is either false or true or really biased or blatant lie or whatever in your analysis of it here. So that's question 5. Question 6 is, overall, how do you feel about the site itself, the Media Bias Fact Check site? And I would just discourage you from making comments about the annoying ad thing, because that's a separate issue. That is a pain in the butt. I used to have I used to pay the fee to subscribe to the site. I don't do it any longer. It is much richer in content when you do have the paid subscription, because there are a lot, for instance, the news articles that would show up there, are 3 or 4 times as many that are there with the free version. But avoid that piece of it, if you will, please. And just the site itself, what the intention of the site is, not the issue with the ads popping up, because that detracts from the mission and the objective of this question, which is for you to assess the Media Bias Fact Check site itself. So you looked at the methodology, you got an understanding of how they come to what they deem to be, true or false, or least biased, or most biased, or left leaning or right leaning. Do you agree with the site and what their mission is, and what they're trying to do, and their methodologies, and how they go about making their determinations? Okay, is it credible? Is this site credible or not? Or is it not credible and we shouldn't use anything on here? That's your determination. Okay. All right. That is it. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you all have a great first week. I know this is a lot of lecture stuff for this first week, but I really wanted to kind of get into this exercise because it is a really difficult one. Take care. You know how to get in touch with me through the Calendly if you want to set up an appointment to meet with me.